Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Happy holidays to you all. Now today I have actually kind of a very fun topic to talk about. Something that isn't YouTube drama related or anything that's problematic. I mean, you could argue this is somewhat problematic. God, sorry for using that word twice. I actually don't like that word, but that's besides the point. Today, we're gonna actually be talking about something that's also that Christians have a problem with, but also that people who are satanic or people who are described as the opposite of Christians that have been talking about recently too. Now, for those who don't know, I'm actually really not a religious person, at least not anymore. When I was growing up as a teenager, I did mostly describe myself as a Lutheran Christian, but that's not really the case for me anymore, as I've gone past by that over many years since I got out of high school, but that's besides the point. Anyways, what I'm here to talk about is what recently happened this year, and this actually got me interested in making a video about this because it's just fun to talk about it, but also, what do you guys think about this whole situation? Because I think this is interesting to talk about, but I also think it's really funny too. We can have ourselves a good laugh. I wanted to actually talk about a satanic temple statue that was actually in the Iowa State Capitol for a while. Yeah, you heard that right. A satanic temple statue was in the Iowa State Capitol. I'm not even kidding. For those who are wondering, believe it or not, this is also a news story that happened in my hometown in Des Moines, Iowa. Nope, I'm not kidding. This actually happened in my hometown, and I wish I was making this up, but I'm really not. I want to actually read to you some of the articles briefly here in this video, because I do have some sources, a few news sources down in the description below if you guys want to read them yourself. But I wanted to get to the main points of what we're talking about here. The first source I wanted to talk about is from KCCI, which is a local news source in my hometown in Des Moines. So again, I left all that down in the description below if you guys want to read them yourself. So this is what it said when the Satanic Temple statue came out. If you are visiting the Iowa State over the next couple of weeks, you might see a holiday display set up by the Satanic Temple. It features a ram's head covered with mirrors on a mannequin cloaked in red clothing. We're going to really relish the opportunity to be represented in a public forum. We don't have a church on every street corner, Grief said. Grief says, if you don't like it, don't look at it. My feeling is if people don't like our display in public forums, they don't have to engage with them. They don't have to view them, Grief said. Shelley Flockhart from Dallas Center says she was shocked to see at the Capitol. It's a very dark, evil force, and I truly hope people know how to battle that, Flockhart said. Flockhart organized a prayer group on Wednesday around the Christmas tree in the center of the rotunda to oppose the satanic display near the stairwell. She calls it dark and evil and says Christians should spiritually fight against it. I hope that people realize spiritual warfare is real, that there are evil satanic forces that are trying to infiltrate our state, she said. The Satanic Temple says the display will be up for 14 days. The Satanic Temple says it is a federally recognized non-theistic group that uses satanic symbols as a way to convey its message. Their website says the group does not worship Satan or believe it is existence of Satan. Now, okay, listen. Now, I'm gonna point this out as somebody who's not very religious, but to the guy, Greaves here, that was saying earlier, if you don't like it, don't, go after it. Okay, that's true. That actually sounds like me out that. I would just be more fascinated that there was actually a satanic statue than be like Flockhart and just, oh, praise Jesus, get rid of the statue. Like, no, maybe that's just not me. I'm also not discrediting the Christians either, because if this is what they believe, okay, but I also am one of those people, if you have a religious belief, don't enforce that to everybody. And This is why here in the United States we have a separation from church to state, because, oh boy, if you look at the other countries that put that shit together, oh boy, it is extremely messy. And I'm not saying that lightly, but there's a reason why we do that in the US. But I just kind of think it's just funny that these Christians are praying over a freaking statue that they don't believe or align with, which, okay, if you're not satanic and it freaks you out, you might definitely be freaked out about it, but like what Reeves says, just ignore it at the same time. It's not like they have like a statue of Adolf Hitler. Now that would definitely cost a lot more backlash and definitely would be absolutely horrible, that everybody would agree that it's just not good, but let's move on. Now, normally it would be up for the amount of time that they said it was going to be. They did say that little statue was going to be up until the 15th, I believe, or until before Christmas. I know they did say something about that, but here comes where the interesting part comes. The statue is destroyed. Yeah, you heard that right. Some man destroyed the statue. I am not fucking kidding. This actually happened. It really took somebody out of state to destroy a satanic statue. Like, I'm not making this shit up, as I'm trying not to laugh because it's just okay, so there's a couple of other articles I want to talk about during that incident too, because this is what's interesting. So let's read them. One is from AP News. So they're like a really huge, big media source news. I don't normally really recommend this, but I think they actually state this perfectly, exactly what the whole situation happened. So I'm going to read it out. Again, I left all the sources down in the description below, but let's read out what happened here. A satanic temple display inside the Iowa Capitol in Des Moines was destroyed as a former U.S. Navy fighter pilot who was recently defeated in a state house election in Mississippi is accused of causing the damage. The display is permitted by rules that govern religious installations inside the Capitol, but has drawn criticism from many conservatives, including presidential candidate Ron DeSantis. A Facebook posting by the Satanic Temple on Thursday said the display, known as a Baphomet statue, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, correct it if I'm wrong, was destroyed beyond repair, though part of its remains. Michael Cassidy, 35, of Lauderdale, Mississippi, was charged with fourth-degree criminal mischief. The Iowa Department of Public Safety said Friday he was released after his arrest. Cassidy is a Republican who was defeated by Democrat Keith Jackson in Mississippi State House District 45 in November. Cassidy's campaign website remains active. The biography on it says he served as a Navy fighter pilot and a pilot instructor. He describes himself as a Christian conservative who loves our nation and is committed to preserving the blessings of liberty bestowed upon us by the founding generation. In 2022, Cassidy ran against incumbent U.S. Representative Michael Guest and lost in a primary runoff after fewer than 300 votes separated them in the primary. Guest won the runoff with nearly 70% of the vote. Messages left Friday with Cassidy and with the Satanic Temple were not immediately returned. On Friday, part of the display remained at the site in the Capitol. A lone man who declined to give us his name sat in front of the display and recited Christian prayers, making references to Jesus. It wasn't immediately clear if he was a superior or dictator of the Satanic Temple. The display is on the east side of the Capitol, beside a column and inornate staircase. It's about 100 feet from a Christmas tree displayed in a rotunda. Founded in 2013, the Salem, Massachusetts-based Satanic Temple doesn't believe in Satan, but describes itself as a non-theistic religious organization that advocates for secularism. It is separate from the Church of Satan, which was founded in the 1960s. The display caught Cassidy's attention earlier this week. On Tuesday, he reposted a message on X, aka Twitter, that included 2 photos, one of a Thomas Jefferson statue being removed from an unspecified location and one of the Satanic Temple display. We have reached the point where our capitals are removing Jefferson while monuments to Satan are erected, the message read. A fund was set up to raise money for Cassidy's legal defense following his arrest. After $20,000 was raised, Cassidy wrote on X that the fundraiser was halted. But late Friday morning, Cassidy wrote that he had been notified for more potential legal charges, unfortunately. So I've opened the legal fund donation back up. The Polk County Attorney's Office declined to comment.
At last, it is finished. So here is an update. The display literally got destroyed by the former congressional candidate from Mississippi, Michael Cassidy. He got charged with 4th-degree criminal mischief, and the conviction carried a sentence of over a year in prison. He told the conservative website The Sentinel, quote, "My conscience is held captive by the word of God," quote, and so he acted. In just a couple of hours, a crowdfunding campaign managed to raise over $20,000 for Cassidy's legal funding. So he closed the crowdfunding at $20,000 and then later reopened it, which raised over $40,000 as he was notified of other legal charges. This past Saturday, the Satanic Temple of Iowa had a closing ceremony of the controversial display that they had at the Iowa State Capitol. Many people from all over the state came over to show their support, and even people from Illinois came to show their support as well. A minister of the Satanic Temple of Iowa gave their closing remarks and then concluded their speech with, quote, "Hail Satan." The co-congressional head of the local chapter said, quote, "Our statement today is to uphold religious freedoms and freedom of speech," quote. According to the Satanic Temple website, it does not worship Satan, nor does it believe in the existence. Robert Cook, vice president of Iowa Atheists and Free Thinkers, said, "There has to be separation of church and state." So I ask you, what do you think of all this? And follow us for all Iowa news.
It really took somebody out of state who used to be a Navy pilot to destroy the statue. I mean, I know that some would consider this not okay, but I'm also just like, holy shit, you cannot make this shit up. Only in America and maybe certain parts of the world where are strictly Christian where this shit happens. Oh my goodness. And you know what the real weird thing about this too is that this whole story, the situation, besides the Satanic Temple and besides Cassidy destroying it, after all of this came out, this became a meme. I'm not kidding. If you look online, especially on Twitter, holy crap, there are memes of this going on. And also, it's just really, I can't. And also, wow, it's just crazy that this even happened. I mean, granted, yes, I'm not any part of satanic group. I mean, despite me being goth, I'm actually will never get into that just because I don't want to be part of anything that has to literally deal with a cult. But they did say that they don't believe in Satan, but they just describe themselves as a non-theistic religious organization, which, yeah, it is different from the Church of Satan. So they're actually not wrong about that one. If you want to read more about it, I mean, you could definitely look that up on your own online. The fact that this even happened at all was just even days before Christmas too. Like, this is insane. I mean, what a way to almost end 2023. Now, I don't normally look at Reddit very often anymore because that's definitely one of those places that has gone downhill over the years. I do occasionally look at Reddit, and most of the people were like me. They were just personally very cool about it. Like, they didn't really care that there was a satanic temple statue inside the Capitol building. I don't really think that was the issue. I think more the issue was that everybody is so black and white when it comes to their beliefs now. Like, that's definitely gone back over time and not in a good way. Now, I have talked against like SJWs before on my channel, but I've never really talked about like my thoughts on like extreme conservatives, which I do have a problem with those people too. And like the people that were gathering around, saying prayers against the Satanic Temple, what I said earlier, I do believe that those people have more of a skew perception of what people should believe and shouldn't believe too. I mean, I'm not accusing anybody, but from what I heard when they were saying those prayers against the Satanic Temple, it's also like, dude, you're kind of also forcing your beliefs, your religious beliefs as well too, when you're inside the Capitol building besides that statue showing up. I don't know what else to say. I'm not saying that they're committing any crimes or anything. I'm just pointing it out that people are mostly going to walk away from a religious extremist nowadays, especially here in the US and especially in like first world countries in Canada and parts of Europe where most people are just going about their day. And also, from what I heard as well, there was actually a mother and daughter that traveled for hours that were about to go see the Satanic Temple. Yes, I know, this is a real thing that happened too, but it definitely got destroyed as when they went over there, it was already completely destroyed. Imagine coming all the way to Des Moines just to see that. But I will say it is fascinating to, see that Iowa has done something like this in the first place. There was one comment right here on Reddit that did make me laugh. This person said, the two need not be mutually exclusive. Next year, let's get Tenacious D Demon with Mary dangling off his dangling. We can really all come together. Humans are such a great breed. Tenacious D Demon. Okay. Oh my god, I know what he's talking about, but man, bro, that is hilarious. Oh, fuck. The internet is great sometimes. But I want to read one more little part, and that was from the Des Moines Register as well. Now, I'm not going to read the whole entire article, but I'm going to read a little bit after the display of the Satanic Temple was destroyed. The installation permitted under state rules governing religious display in the building has come under debate and criticism by Iowa and national politicians. Presidential hopeful Ron DeSantis on Tuesday joined as a chorus of Republicans calling for its removal, while others in the GOP said that though it is offensive, it is a protected form of free speech. Okay, that I actually have to agree with. Like, listen, if you're somebody who has the belief of, a religious belief of being satanic or, whatnot, that's outside of Christianity, I think you're free to believe that, like I said earlier. Despite the destruction of the robbed figure of Baphomet, holding a ribbon-bedded pentage and topped with a gilded ram's head, the Satanic Temple on Facebook that the remainder of the display, a small altar displaying the temple's seal and the 7 tenets of Satanism, would remain for now. We are proud to continue our holiday display for the next few days that have been eluded, it said, and caution visitors to travel together and use the 7 tenets as a reminder for empathy, and they acknowledge that justice is being pursued in the correct way, though legal means. So the last thing I wanted to mention was that the people who aren't even satanic at all, but those that after hearing about this consider this a hate crime. Now I am going to go into this after I read this part here, but let's read out the last bit of it. The Satanic Temple of Iowa did not immediately respond to a request for comment. It received permission earlier this month to place the display on the first floor of the Capitol for 2 weeks. A Christian nativity display was placed in the building Tuesday. On his social media, Lucien Greaves, the co-founder of the Satanic Temple, a national network based in Salem, Massachusetts, said the vandalism was a hate crime. They had their own displays, their own protests. They filled the Capitol with prayers. They did interviews with media outlets who allowed them to put words in our mouths without seeking comment from us, and then they vandalized our display anyways, Greaves wrote, and then they still played the victim. To be fair, a little bit, I do have to kind of agree that after, they were doing prayers and all that, they did kind of seem like they were victimizing themselves in that way, but I'm also thinking to myself too that, yeah, they were just doing prayers after they found the display too. Now, this is a complicated situation. As somebody who actually used to define myself as a Christian, I'll be honest, I was never really a hardcore Christian like these prayer groups were when they were seeing the Satanic Temple here. but you're kind of still making yourself as the victim after you were against it too. I don't know. But as far as calling it a hate group, I wouldn't say that's going that far because first of all, in order for it to be a hate group, you have to be emotionally hurting somebody or a group of people, which, okay, yes, you can definitely argue about that, but I'm also just like, it is something you don't really see very often either. Like I said, I don't think that little satanic temple should have been taken down, but I also think everybody has their own religious belief too. So it's a mixed bag here for me on this one, but what do you guys all think? And before people start criticizing me, whatever, I do think that little satanic temple was probably more badass looking than the Christmas tree in the Capitol. I'm just saying, just look at it. That is one of the coolest fucking things I have seen. And also, you're talking about Des Moines, Iowa, okay? This is the same city where literally brought us one of the most hardcore metal bands, Slipknot. Are you really surprised that there's some sort of group of people around in Des Moines that might have this belief that they are satanic or have this belief in some way? Are you really surprised that they have this belief? Well, let's face it. I'm not saying metalheads are satanic at all. That's stupid, but there are those small group of people like that are like that too. I'm just pointing it out because I think it's just hilarious that people assume that Des Moines, Iowa, it's just a bunch of city folks who are also just like, oh, hey, I'm just here to eat some corn and just, enjoy the view of our cornfields. No, we're really not. We're just like everyday people, really, that just talk about interesting shit and have jobs like everybody else. So having this talked about in my hometown was also fascinating and hilarious at the same time. But rest in peace to that poor little statue there. What do you guys all think? Were you against the Satanic Temple statue, or were you just like me and didn't really care that it was out there? But anyways, I hope you guys are having a good holiday, and this might be the last video for me to upload this year. I don't know, we'll see, but if I don't upload a new video in the last days of 2023, I will see you guys in 2024. I can't believe it's already starting this quickly. Time flies so fast, but if you guys want to support me on Patreon, I have my link tree down in the description with all my social media links, Patreon, and my art shops, if you want to guys go look at that. If you guys like the video, don't forget to leave a like, and if you like my content, subscribe to my channel. Anyways, guys, I hope you're having a good holiday and take care.